Wow, wow, wow. It's great to be here. Awesome time here in Abuja, Nigeria. And today we're just going to be talking about strengths, but beyond strengths, we're going to talk about the new work order, in terms of how work has progressed over time. My guest is here. She's waiting. I just want to even keep her a little longer behind, because we need to have a few people join us. Yes, I see Ronel. Ronel, how are you? From South Africa. Yes, Ronel, I see you. Yes, great, great, great. I see Johan. Johan, it's great having you here. Oh, I see Joanna Agu. Joanna Agu from Nigeria. Who else do I see? Okay, so yes. So just, I hope you can all hear me. It'll be nice to know that you can all hear me, and then we'll be right back here just to talk on this. So today I have, oh great, yes, great. Today I have Caroline, all right, Joy Diaz. She is a career development coach. She has experience spanning over 23 years, and when I say 23, it's 23. Ronald, I see you. Now, 23 good years. And, we're going to be, tapping on our insights, all right, our experience, and we're hoping that at some point we can help discover our strengths. But much more than that, we would have started to understand the mode of work in this order. So Caroline, she's also a global certified strengths coach, and she does great things in South Africa. And she, with our reach, we're hoping that we could leverage on our expertise today. So Caroline, I'm adding you now to the live stream. I'm adding you live to the live stream. Hello, Caroline. How are you?
Hello, Taiwo. I'm well, thank you, Taiwo. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. So
welcome, and welcome to everybody who's joined us as well. Thank you so much for having me, Taiwo.
Great. And I love your energy, and I'm hoping that today we're going to draw beyond the experience. We're also going to have the positivity of your energy today, and it promises to be a wonderful time. But first of all, before we get into this, before we get into the meat of the matter, I see that. So what's happening in South Africa today? What's happening in South Africa? What's going on?
Well, I'll tell you what, from my side, it's been a rainy 2 weeks. We've got a lot of potholes, but that's okay. Well, I guess when the sun shines, the guys will come to work and they'll clear it all up. But I think there's a general mood of improvement, or a general increased mood of positivity, because things have been lifted slightly, and granted, it's been a very sad time for a lot of people who've lost loved ones through COVID, etc. But I think that wherever we can, we've got to try to spread a positive message. We've got to try to encourage people. So besides talking about the world of work and where we're at right now, I had a conversation with a lady from one of the organizations I'm hoping to work with. It's a pretty large organization. And We were talking about teams and talking about how teams, so we'll get into all of that from the world of work, and that's from a business and an individual perspective. And a lot of people are working from home. So how are businesses coping with working from home, and how are individuals coping with having to be away from the norm? And it's been a year already, but I'll tell you this much: people who were anticipating and thinking they would get back to some form of normality in 2021, it's not actually happened. So there's a lot of stress, and I think that a big focus that we need to have right now is mental wellness. We need to be talking to people about how they're going to overcome this remote working issue and get through whatever emotional challenges they've had to deal with from, family members being sick, etc., etc. So, but, I think that all being said, South Africans are feeling a bit more positive. They can go to the beach now. And the bottle stores are open.
Someone says sunshine and wine too now, It says come to city,
yes.
And I'm wondering,
yes.
And that's great. So
good one, Ronel.
Ronel, good. So for us in Abuja, here in the capital city in Nigeria, we're also taking precautions. There's the challenges around the second wave, all right, of the COVID in 2021. But yes, we're bracing up. We're trying to adhere to all of those protocols, hoping that this scourge would leave us soon. But the reality is, it's not leaving anytime soon. And so, and that tells me, or that takes me also to the meat of today's matter, the new world work. And, things have happened. Productivity tools have been introduced. There are now being simplification of work. That's one bit. The second bit is around what you talked about, mental or wellness, all right, in terms of the total well-being of the individual. So tell me, because I know somewhere along strengths, we keep talking about self-awareness. And until you become self-aware, you probably also don't know what to do. So let's start with the simplification of work. How is the simplification of work affecting the new world of work?
I'm sorry, this internet connectivity issue is a problem, so I didn't quite get to hear your entire question there, Taiwo. But I hope you guys can hear me.
Yeah. So the question is how?
Okay.
Yes. How has the simplification of work, all right, affected the new world of work? The simplification of work, the introduction of gadgets, and the reduction of the hard work to smart work. How has this affected the new world of work?
Okay. And we talk about the new world of work, Taiwo, but the new world of work has actually been in order for a long time already. So we've had opportunities. I remember doing an interview a while ago with a digital company, and they had asked me some questions about what does it mean to you? What does collaboration mean to you? And I seem to, am I on my own?
You're fine. You're fine.
Am I alone?
No, you're not alone.
Sorry. You, okay. Yes, so you just disappeared from the screen there for a second. I thought, okay, I've lost internet.
No, it's your show. It's your show. We needed to hear you. So,
Okay, no problem. All right. Okay. And I remember doing this interview. It was with a digital technology company, and they asked me to talk about collaboration and what it means for me. Now, I worked for an international organization, and we very quickly had to learn how to adapt, how to pivot our business with regards to connecting with everybody globally. So you find that at the time, and this is going back probably 2 years or even longer, where we started identifying where are our weaknesses within the organization with regards to being able to create this connectivity and adapt to the new world of work. So you have to start thinking about the tools, because there are plenty of tools around there. Sorry about that, that's my husband. So there are plenty of tools out there that you could use, and tools that would be beneficial to an organization with regards to communicating to the rest of your people around the world. So where are your people based, whether it's globally or nationally within our country? You still need to be able to connect with people. And the more we practiced it, the easier it became. So the easier it was to actually organize a meeting and have everybody on screen. And it was amazing, because as much as you're having this digital meeting where you're not face-to-face with everybody, it felt like we were face-to-face with everybody, 100% connecting with people. We were still connecting with people. And what was that doing? It was making us efficient. It was making us tech-driven. And some of the things that when you talk about the new world of work for business, you speak about the global perspective. You speak about being flexible, and you speak about technology. So what are those things that we need to introduce and adapt to in order to embrace it and to be successful at it? Because that's the other thing. We've got to know that being able to engage, it's still going to give us the same results. It's still going to motivate the people to do what needs to be done. It's going to give them the information that they need, and it's going to make them feel like they're included. And those are all big things. So that really is what, from a technological perspective, Taiwo, is the collaboration and the adapting and adopting of the tools that we have at our fingertips. Now, this is going back a few years already. So imagine the tools since COVID started. Let me tell you, if you go and sit now and do some research with regards to what is available, and you think about the businesses that offer these technological opportunities or tools, those guys are thriving. Small businesses who have taken the opportunity to actually use these tools and to adopt a pivoting attitude, an open attitude to learn about it, they've managed to embrace it and to use it to their benefit. So I guess the ball is in our court. The tools are there. We just have to, as businesses, and then we can go talk about individuals just now, but we need to find ways to do the necessary research so that we can figure it out. We've got to figure it out and embrace it. One thing I will tell you, I was part of the first crew that did the strengths coaching course. So when we did it at the beginning of last year, it was the first ever virtual class. So we didn't have to attend an actual physical class. We had a classroom of people that was virtual. It was the first time that Gallup and the company that did it in South Africa had ever done something like that. Let me tell you how successful it was. It was a solid week of full interaction from 8:30 to 5 o'clock every day. It was amazing. So wow. It is possible.
So it's if I hear you, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Now, hearing you well, I hear you talk about that we have come to an era where we're doing less better rather than doing more less. And it's intriguing. I love the dimension of how you have flowed into strength as to now in this new world of work, how do we use our strength, all right, to become effective at work?
Okay.
How do we use
I hear you, Taiwo, and that is so critical. That was the other conversation that I had with this company this morning. The other conversation that I had was that with regards to, I'm sorry, my phone is ringing. I just want to quickly cancel this call and switch my phone right off. Otherwise, it's going to interrupt me. There we go. So adopting strengths into this new world of work, Taiwo, is about identifying them. So I said to this team this morning, once each individual, and that is what teams, when we think about individual strengths and we think about team strengths. So when you think about how we're adapting to the world of work right now, if each team member, well, firstly, let's talk to the manager. So if the manager understands each of his team members' natural and innate talents and abilities that fit the role that they mean to be filling, and the management of that individual is focused around what they're really naturally talented and good at, the success of the team is going to be that much greater. So when you think about the virtual world of work now, and you think about how is it that we're going to manage even better. And one of the things that I installed at my previous places of work is situational leadership. So when you have your one-on-one sessions with each of your team members, what is the discussion that you're having? Is it discussing what are your natural talents and abilities? How are those natural talents and abilities going to benefit you in your job description and in the requirements of your role right now? So it's critical that managers understand what are the expectations? How am I going to ensure that each of my team members is going to utilize their strengths and their natural and innate abilities to benefit themselves and then ultimately benefit the organization? Because when people are working in their strengths, they are, and I don't want to go into the whole selling of strength and how many times greater it's going to be and all of those things, but it is, a person is that much more likely to be successful in their role and to create more successful an organization when they're working in their strengths. So identifying what your natural talents and strengths are for yourself as a manager and then for your team, it's critical right now. These things are critical, and I wish I could get to talk to more organizations about how identifying these natural talents and abilities are going to be able to help specifically now, because virtual work is not as easy as sitting in a one-on-one at an office, right?
Yes, absolutely.
It's a lot tougher. Yes. Yeah.
So now I love, thanks for that insight. And I also love the direction around the situational leadership and how also managers need to take responsibility. But there's also a downside of what has happened as a result of the pandemic and, a whole lot of other issues, economic downturn and change even in weather. Now, there's the dealing with change or loss of the inevitable part of life. Okay, at some point, everybody experiences this. So how have you, all right, and how would you recommend that people should use their strengths to bounce back, to address issues around setbacks or resilience? What are the linkages? How does my self-awareness help me in terms of my strengths to be able to bounce back?
When people know and identify what their natural talents and strengths are, there's a confidence that comes with that. Now, the challenge is that not everybody, and that's why what I like about the strengths assessment is that it's not expensive. So you could actually offer this this tool or this opportunity to people at such a good deal without having to stress the individual out or the organization out. Because if you had to sit down and try to figure out what my natural strengths are outside of the specific tool, it's a lot more difficult to sit down and say, well, what am I really good at? Are you thinking, I am good at that because the expectation is there from my manager or from my wife or from my partner or from my whoever. The expectation is there for me to be good at this or for me to be strong at that. So we need to figure out how can we get as many people as possible to actually sit down and take the assessment so that we can uncover and unpack what their natural strengths and abilities are. We can happily put out there lots of questions that we can say, yes, you can go and sit down and ask yourself all of these questions, which will help you identify, and they are helpful. They really are helpful to get you to unpack and uncover your natural abilities and your natural strengths. But I think that the more people that actually take the assessment and have a coach, one of my clients said to me the other day, she's not working at the moment and she was looking, for a job. And when she saw one of my posts on LinkedIn, I think it was, and she just said, please, I need your help. I'm going for interviews and I'm doing something wrong in my interviews. And it really was that case. She was not using her natural ability. She was putting on a show. Do you understand what I'm saying? So she hadn't thought about it. And subsequent to her actually sitting down, and she said, this was an investment in me to take the assessment and to sit with you for 2 sessions and let's unpack this. Let's go through the process of naming, claiming, and aiming my natural talents and strengths in the right direction. So for individuals, how they go about doing it, without taking shortcuts, and you want to say, yes, I can say to you, let's sit down and we're going to ask you a list of questions without doing the assessment, and we're going to say to you, what are you naturally good at? What are you naturally leaning towards? I've got a whole list of questions that I would ask individual. What makes you happy? What makes you get out of bed in the morning? And I don't want to say, that's because my tummy's now ready to go and I need to go to the loo. I have a good chuckle when I talk about that one with my clients. It needs to be that sense of, why do I want to get up today? What is my purpose? Where am I going? What am I doing with myself? How am I going to make a difference in my life today, in the work that I do, and in the people that I'm going to be engaging with? What am I going to produce today? How successful am I going to be in that production? Am I passionate about it? Am I putting my heart and soul into it because it's what I love to do? Or is it a grind? Is it something that I'm really, I hate my job and I'm not enjoying it and I really don't? I'll give you a typical example, Taiwo. I personally have been in an executive role for a long time. And when I think back on a lot of the things that I had to do from an executive perspective, and you think about putting yourself and stepping out of a comfort zone, stepping out of an environment that you're used to. I come from an environment where I was running my own recruitment business. And then you're thrown into an environment where you're running huge corporates and you're having to deal with things that are completely outside of your comfort zone. When that happens, you are likely to end up with burnout. You're likely to not be, or you're putting on a front continuously. That is stress. You're putting stress on yourself, and you're not giving the best to the organization. And that's what I say to my clients. The minute you're not doing what you're good at and what you are meant to be doing, and where your strength, your natural, inner and innate abilities lie, then what are you doing? Then you're not actually benefiting yourself and you're not benefiting the organization. So do yourself a solid, sit down, take the time to create a journal, ask your questions, do the research, have a strengths assessment done. Do yourself that favor.
Awesome. Now, I love how you're able to punch this, right to the point of, hey, get your assessment done. And, I came into the strengths, philosophy a few years ago. And for me, it was like, an unusual experience. It was a wow moment for me. Because first, it was the description of my strengths, clearly reflected how I'd operated, in terms of the naming. And so I came to that awareness. And guess what? I was able to, tailor the skills that I needed to now start to develop in view of my purpose journey, in view of my envisaged goals. And that has really helped me. Can you share your own strengths experience? What was it like when you had your assessment and you read through your reports, and then you had a coach, guide you on that process? Can you tell me what it was for you?
It was an eye-opener, because I really did then figure out, largely because my first strength as responsibility, when I am given a task, I want to do my best to make sure that I get that done, and because I've now committed to it. I've committed to doing something, and I have a responsibility to do it, and come hell or high water, I am going to get the job done. So of course, it is at some times detrimental to me. So one of the greatest things that I learned that came from my greatest strength, which is responsibility, being my top natural and innate ability and strength. By the way, positivity is the next one. So I always like to look at the glass half full. But from a responsibility perspective, you have a responsibility to yourself just as much as you have a responsibility. So for me, that was my light bulb moment. And I talk about light bulb moments because I'll tell you a little bit about that just now. I've had so many phenomenal stories where some of my graduates, you can actually see the light bulb moments when you're having sessions with them. So from a responsibility perspective, my greatest light bulb moment was identifying that I needed to put my needs ahead of everybody else's, and a lot of those expectations that were had of me were I was putting something else out there to give people what they wanted, and I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. So subsequent to all of that, now this is a real personal journey that I'm sharing, identifying that, I started in the recruitment business and the recruitment industry because I wanted to help. I love helping people. I want to see people put food on their tables. And I was doing everything in my power to make that happen. And when I stepped into different roles, which were it was really phenomenal for me, the responsibility kicked in. The positivity maybe took a second step. And this really strong, my biggest strength, number one, when my assessment came, number one, responsibility. And when I went through the results, it was like, you need to put you first. And when you put you first, because I know now that I have a responsibility, not just to what I'm putting out there, but to me. I've got a responsibility to me. And when you identify with that and when you start actioning that, it's amazing how everything else falls into place. So the responsibility, the positivity, the belief, the developer in me, because developer is my number 4, and my arranger in me has set another ball in motion. So here I am I'm sitting with you, Taiwo, as a strengths guru in Africa. And a year ago, this time, I was on my journey, my transition journey, my journey of pivoting me and taking responsibility for me.
I love that. And that shows a whole lot, because your responsibility was clearly helping you to execute in your domain.
Very much so.
And so for those that are listening to us right now, this probably might sound like French, because they're wondering, they're talking about
what
strength.
Is all that?
What is all that? But it's okay to feel that way. And that's what all this strength discussion is. Essentially, we want to create, that awareness to the point where people begin to, equip as to what they need to know about strength.
Yes.
So like my own top 5 strengths, my top 5 strengths, the first is strategic. All right, so I'm able to see options before they become obvious to people. The second one is command. I had a major issue when I did not know the essence of my command. It's almost like when the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. So I used that wrongly because I kept my command on constantly, and I started to
Okay.
have a lot of enemies, and there was a lot of friction.
Wow.
There was, it was a toxic environment. Imagine having your command strength on constantly. And then I moved on. The thought of my strength is significant. So if we're having a discussion and it's not big enough, you
Yes.
probably won't get my attention. So don't put me in that small closet now. Don't drag me into that small that project. If it's not big, then I don't want to be part of it. And then I move on to my executing strength, and that's being deliberative. So I'm able to deliberate on issues, and using my strategic and a bit of significance, I'm easily also able to come and say, look, these are the actionable steps to take.
Yes.
And
Yes.
finally, I have as my fifth, the learner. I'm able to, I love to learn. I love to learn. And in fact, that's how I got into the strength methodology. So, it's been a beautiful journey. Carol, you want to share some?
I wanted to show everybody, because when they don't know,
so,
and it's going to be upside down now, but just so that everybody can see.
Okay.
Yeah, the people who you can come back to, the people who want to know what it is that we're talking about. So if you break those down, so we have our strengths that are divided into different themes, and we're executors or influencers or relationship builders or strategic thinkers, and wherever your dominant strength and natural abilities lie is where your natural leanings go. So that's when Taiwo was talking about, when he had to wind his command down, or how it was tuned down.
Well, it's it's unbelievable that we've been talking about strength for about 30 minutes now, and somehow, we just must keep within the timeline. So we have another 2-3 minutes to just wrap up this session. And I'm sure, but I'm sure for whoever is going to be watching the replay, and for those right now, there would have been some elements that have been dropped around, knowing about strengths. So your final words. Let's have your final words as to what the role of strength is in the new world of work. The final words, please.
Well, the role of strengths, I mean, really, your strengths and your themes are your talent DNA. And when you've uncovered your talent DNA, you are more engaged at work. You're more productive in your role. You're happier and you're healthier. So what the strengths does is it explains how you are uniquely you. And when you've done your assessment and you want to figure out what am I doing? How am I doing it? How can I do what I'm doing better? Or am I doing the right thing? Am I doing what I am meant to be doing? There are so many areas and avenues that you can delve into from a strengths perspective. When it comes to career choices, and that is something we barely touched on, I know that a lot of what we've spoken about is really positive visibility for the strengths assessments. However, I'll tell you this much. If anybody is looking at identifying where they want to be, what they want to do, how they want to grow, what educational path they want to take, what line they want to study in. So for the youngsters who are looking at choosing career paths, if you identify your natural talent and abilities, you are guaranteed that what's naturally inside of you, what naturally makes you excel greater than having to force something, is what's going to make you happy and make you productive and make you successful. So I encourage you to seriously consider a strengths assessment and finding yourself a strengths coach. You're on site. I can't hear you.
It's been an amazing time, Carol, and I cannot thank you well enough, because this is a game changer for the strengths work, and for the world of work, and work to businesses, as to career professionals, as to everything called work, because in work lies wealth. So I'd like to say thank you from the strengths team and I. Yes.
Can I have add one more thing? Remember when I spoke about at the beginning, the
Yes.
globally accessible, being, allowing for global accessibility. If you think about the new world of work, and you think about partnering with strength, and how you're going to use that. So when you think about how can we do that, the technology that we have that's at our fingertips, look at what we're doing right now. We have the technology, we have the platform. All of my coaching that I did last year was done virtually. Isn't that amazing? You've got to be flexible. There you go. So the flexibility, that is the new world of work. The technology here is what we're doing right now. Find the tools that work for you. So that is my last contribution.
And I love that, and that's so apt. So we're also allowing technology to drive us. We're also using technology effectively, and there are also a lot of productivity tools that could be combined with your understanding of you, to become more effective in all your career. So, Carol, we're trying to put up your details, but for the replay, I'm sure we're going to put your details on, just so that people can reach you whenever they need to reach you. We also believe that this has started something new, and so we say thank you, and we look forward to more discussions around this. And thank you for coming up on this show, hoping that somehow people would have benefited from the show. So I'd like to say thank you. We'll be signing out now. Danke. Is it Danke? Danke. All right. All right.
Thank you, Taiwo.
Yeah, great. So, guys, look, we've been talking about strengths. It's been an amazing time with Carol. Carol has just led us into a glimpse of the world of strength. And she's talked about the simplification of work. She's talked around what you need to do, particularly around mental wellness or well-being at work, and then how to also effectively use technology to be able to achieve more, all right, using less. Guys, this is your startup specialist, and I'm going to be signing out now, hoping that we are here next week with another Gallup certified strength coach, and we'll take these discussions further. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend. God bless. Bye.